Let's turn now to Joe Klein, political commentator and publisher of Sanity Clause on Substack. Joe, welcome back to the show. 7 days in, 100 days out. Let's talk about the significance of this moment we're living through. In a matter of days, we've seen a president drop out, another one almost assassinated, and a vice president re-energize her party in a very unprecedented way.
Well, it's been a quiet couple of weeks. I've been doing this for 50 years, and I've never seen anything like it. One thing you missed was that we also saw Donald Trump pick a very questionable presidential candidate in J.D. Vance, who has really been a little bit of a drag on him. But this thing it's a completely new race, and we have 100 days. This is going to be a sprint. I think that what we're going to see over the next week or two, unless there are more surprises, and there have been so many surprises so far, but what we're going to see over the next couple of weeks is a strong period for Kamala Harris. She'll get a bump when she names her vice president, if it isn't someone terrible, and I suspect it won't be. It'll be one of these governors or senators who are very solid, very moderate. And then the Democrats will go into their convention, and they will be every bit as enthusiastic as the Republican in Chicago as the Republicans were in Milwaukee last week. One of the interesting things that we didn't see, that we usually see, is Donald Trump didn't get much of a bump out of that convention. Usually you'll get 3 or 4 points.
Right.
He got nothing. And that was attributable to the fact that Joe Biden stepped on his story by dropping out.
Well, Joe, let's talk about that bump or lack thereof. I want to show our viewers the latest poll from the Wall Street Journal. It shows Trump slightly ahead of Harris, 49 to 47%, right within the margin of error. You know this as well as I do, Joe. Voters in the country, they're split down the middle. The election will be decided by those swing voters. We already know the top issues: immigration, the economy, crime. How important will these issues remain in the upcoming campaign cycle?
Well, the biggest issue was just taken away, and that was Biden's age. A lot of people didn't want to vote for Joe Biden because he was too old. And I think that what you've seen in the polls this week is a lot of Democrats who were reluctant come home. So it's now pretty much a tie. And as you said, you're absolutely right. This election is about 6 or 7% of the population who are in the middle. And they tend to be independents, suburban women, we'll see. The two bases, blacks have come home to the Democratic Party over the last week. And it's going to be about that small group in the middle.
So, Joe, what should the messaging be for both candidates, for that group?
Well, I think that, first of all, there are two big problems that Democrats have. One is inflation. The other is immigration. Trump will try and make something out of crime, but the crime rates have plummeted in this country. The incarceration rates have plummeted in this country. And in fact, the number of people who are crossing the border illegally have plummeted in this country. The biggest problem that Trump has is Trump. The fact that a majority of the people in this country do not believe he is fit to be president. You look at the polls, it's in the low 50s. And if he's going to go back to, this guy squandered one of the great opportunities in the history of American politics. After he was shot, there was a lot of sympathy for him. And he could have taken advantage of that by really giving a true speech that would have brought the country together at the convention. But last night in Minnesota, he said, they said I changed after the shooting, but I'm not. I'm meaner than ever.
Right. He called Kamala Harris a bum.
Yeah. And so I think that that's an indication of how scared he is. He hasn't figured out how to go after her yet. He hasn't really settled on what her nickname is going to be. It was Laughing Kamala, and it was Cackling Kamala, and he hasn't even decided whether he's going to pronounce her name properly.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.